Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you new here, my name is Donna, and for those of you not new, thank you so much for continuing to come back and support my channel. I appreciate all of you so much. Today we're doing the next installment in my palette roulette series, and this is number 80, you guys. And today we are looking at the BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil palette. This palette came out quite a while ago, actually. I just purchased it maybe a year ago, if that. And I got it on a sale at Ulta. It's always on sale at Ulta or even the BH Cosmetics website. Right now, I know it's on sale on the BH Cosmetics website. This is a palette that I purchased because there is a YouTuber here on the platform. Her name is Veronica, and I will link her channel down in the description box. She does a lot of super intricate detailed looks, and she uses the Take Me Back to Brazil palette a lot. I think I've bought two palettes because of her, this one and the NYX colored, the super rainbowed color one. I also haven't used, but this was the first time I had used this palette. I really quite enjoyed it. Just a little bit of a sneak peek there, but this is what the palette face looks like. It says Take Me Back to Brazil there in kind of a silver like foil detailing. It is a palette that is inspired by the carnival in Brazil. I really love the packaging on this. It is so detailed. Reminds me, the detail of it reminds me a lot of the Juvia's Place packaging. On the back, you do see like information about the shadows, the formulas, and all the information down here. It does have a leaping bunny, so it is cruelty free, and then 24-month shelf life is what this guy here has. It does have a net weight of 1.23 ounces, which would state that there is about 0.035 ounces of product in each of the pans. But on the inside, as you can see, there are 3 pans in there that are shaped differently, so I can't really exactly tell you how much is in each pan. I can tell you that the circular pans, so the 32 circular pans, are about the size of a dime. And these guys are about the length of, a little shorter than the length of my finger. And there are 3 of them there. This palette does have a 4.7 star rating on the BH Cosmetics website. And that is a conglomerated 4.7 star rating out of 8,374 reviews. That's a lot of reviews. On the Ulta website, it does have a 3.8 stars with 545 reviews. So, I mean, overall, this has more than 9,000 reviews, and we're looking at probably like a 4.5 star rating. If you mix the two of them together, 4.4, somewhere in there. It's not a bad palette. The poor reviews that I saw on this palette really spoke to pigmentation, which was odd to me because I didn't really have a whole lot of problem with pigmentation with this palette. I do think it's actually a pretty pigmented palette, honestly. And the red in here is really a true red shade, which I have had a lot of problems with, even Juvia's Place. Their red shadows pulling more pink or more orange dependent on the baseline of the pigment that they're putting into those shadows. This one really performed red, so I was super happy about that. This palette does go for $20 on both the Ulta and the BH Cosmetics website. I know that there was a review in there that said that you could get it half price, that Ulta had upcharged by 150%, which isn't true. It is $20 on both websites. However, both websites will perform sales on items separately. So right now, this palette is going for $14 on the BH.com, the BHCosmetics.com website. And Ulta actually has it as part of a BOGO, so buy one, get one half off sale. So if that were the case and you were getting this as your secondary item, it would only be $10 on the Ulta website. So both of them do charge $20 regular price, but there are sales that you can jump on both websites to get it for a less expensive price. Not that $20 is anything to scoff at. I think honestly it's got 35 shades in it, shimmers, mattes, and satins, and I think for $20 that's an excellent deal. Even though these are super small pans, like dime size pans, a penny at best size pans, it's a really good deal for as many colors as that you're getting. It's really hard to pan an eyeshadow, so even with this small of a pan, you're probably not going to pan it, even if you were using it every day for at least a year. It is a hugely versatile shade range. It does have that black in here, so you can deepen up any eye look with that black, or any color with that black, which I did do today with this red look. It also has these two transforming shades. One's a little bit more, you know, white, and it will lighten up any color, but it does have a little bit of a shimmer to it. And the other one is a white with kind of a little bit more of a duochrome nature to it. It's got a little bit of a iridescent like flip. I'm not going to swatch this palette because there are just so many shades in it. What I would say I don't like about the palette in a nutshell is that there are no names of the shadows, not even on the plastic, you know, cover that covered the shades. And I do quite find that annoying, really. If you're going to have shadow palettes, name the shades so that we know your next shadow palette that comes along the line. If we have like a good majority of the shades already in some of your other palettes, there's no need to buy another palette that has, you know, roughly those same shades. But oh well, I guess it is only a $20 palette. It does have a nice mirror in it, which I think is fantastic for a palette at this price point. I think this palette started out as like a limited edition product for them and has become more of a hero product for them. As a matter of fact, they have created 2 more palettes based on this, so they have sequels out there. One of them is the Take Me Back to Brazil Rio edition, which is an all shimmer palette. So if you're interested in all shimmers, absolutely get that. And the other one is Take Me Back to Ibiza, and that one is a lot darker in nature than this one. I think it suits my color story better, honestly, because I like those dirty, grungy, you know, mustards and greens and olives. But this is the one I have, so, and I'm not mad at it. I do like the palette. It will be staying in my collection. I would say it's super, super pigmented, but really hard to blend. The darker the shade is, the harder it is to get it to look decent on your eye without the patchiness. I did a few looks with this palette that I absolutely loved. One of them I didn't love, and I got a picture of that one. It's actually a almost monochromatic look, but it was like oranges and then the shimmer red. I did not like the shimmer red. I honestly don't like the shimmers in this palette very much. I'm thankful that a lot of them are more matte. There's a lot more mattes in here than there is shimmers, and I'm thankful for that because I don't like the shimmers. I have this one right here that's kind of like gold but not gold, gray but not gray, green but not green kind of shimmer. It is what's on my lid right here, just the center of my lid, and I just, the shimmers in this palette leave a lot to the imagination. I feel like they could have been better. I do like the palette overall. That eyeshadow look that I was just talking about with the reds and the oranges was meant to be a little more monochromatic, but that red shimmer, this one here, is awful. It's, I mean, it shows up really well on your finger, but just the tip of your finger as you go down, as it like swipes on, and it doesn't swatch very well either. You can see that a lot of the color, a lot of the pigmentation is right here initially where it went onto the finger, and then as you drag it down, it just starts to dissipate. I think that they could have been better. Also, it wipes right off. So there's that. Without a primer, this palette isn't going to perform at all. I did use a white base primer for almost every one of my looks because I just use a white base primer with my brighter color shadows so that that pigmentation pulls through a lot easier than it does when it's on my yellow skin with a, or yellow golden skin with a, you know, primer underneath. With the white base primer, a lot of them showed up really well. I loved this row here of all the blues. Super, super pretty. The purples left a lot to the imagination, honestly. I had the worst time with this purple here. Purple is a really hard shade to do though, from what I understand. The formulas were just a little bit too inconsistent. Some of them performed really, really well, while others did not. Some of them blended really, really well, while others did not. Some of them were super dry and chalky and awful powdery, and some were not. With that being said, there was little to no fallout with this palette, which was nice. It was nice to have colors of this nature and not really have to deal with a fallout issue. However, I still did my eyeballs first because I've gotten more into that habit. As we go through these palette roulettes, I learned some tricks that help me not get pissed off at a palette so easily, and that's just one of them. I will probably forevermore do my eyeballs first. It used to trip me out in the beginning because your eyes never look right until your eyebrows and the rest of your face is done, in my opinion. It was super hard for me to do it at first because I just wanted to wipe the eye look off. Just wanted to wipe it off. It didn't look good enough. It didn't look good enough. I'm not like that anymore. I would say longevity wise, you're looking at a good probably 6 hours before it starts to fade, which isn't much. And that does include the range of time that you're getting with a primer. I would say it starts to fade at about 6 hours. It's not horrible fading, but it is fading. I could tell the difference, but I don't think somebody looking at my eyes would say, oh, that's horrible makeup that you've got on right now. At about the 8 hour mark, 8 or 9 hour mark, I would say that somebody who didn't know anything about makeup would look at my eyes and go, oh my God, she doesn't know anything about makeup, because the fading was quite extensive. I think that you get what you pay for. I know BH Cosmetics has put out better product than this. I had it's my Ray Ray palette and I loved it. I think it is one that I decluttered recently in this, maybe not recently, but throughout this palette roulette series, only because it's one of the first palettes I ever got. It was a 3-year-old palette, and it just wasn't my color story anymore. So I didn't foresee myself picking it up. It was more of a neutrals palette. It wasn't the second It's My Ray Ray. It was the first one. It was more of a neutrals palette, and I don't typically use a lot of neutrals. And when I do pull for a neutral, I do have better palettes that I gear towards, so I did declutter that palette. But it had some standout shades in it that I absolutely loved, and it was sad for me to declutter. I did use that a lot in the beginning of my channel, but I think that also goes to show the growth of myself when it comes to formulations of eyeshadows and whatnot. This isn't the best, but it isn't also the worst. It's kind of a meh palette for me right now, but I really, really love this red. This red here, it feels so grippy. In the pan, it feels awful, but that is a beautiful red. It's not like an orange red, it's not a pink red, it is a red, but these swatch so bad. I was trying to do like a swatch arm for you guys to stick it in here because there are so many different shades in this palette. I really do want to swatch the palettes that have the more shades, but it just takes so long to swatch and then wipe and then swatch and then wipe, and honestly through editing it's a nightmare. So I was trying to do a swatch arm for you and it just wasn't happening. It looked awful. They do swatch terribly, but they do perform very well. Overall, I would say that it's a decent palette. It's like I said, just kind of a meh palette for me. It's not horrible. It's not great. It will stay in my collection because I do like it. I did have a lot of fun with it, and I was super inspired to use it, honestly, throughout this last couple weeks. I was also inspired to create different color combinations than what I would normally create. I love that even though there's not shade names on here, it does go in like a rainbow cohesive theme. I love the fact that you've got these 3 pans down here to darken up a look and then get some kind of transformation of your shadows if you want to use them. These are not great for brow bone shades, honestly. This one, because it's got that little bit of yellow kick to it, yellow flip, it will make your whole eye look a little bit golden. And this one is just far too chunky, honestly. I couldn't get a lot. It's not super finely milled. It's definitely just a little bit too chunky. So I did have to pull into another palette to get a brow bone shade for any eye look that I did with this palette, unless I was willing to use, like today, I used yellow in my brow, which is unlike me, but I did use yellow in my brow, and then I just put a little bit of the Ofra gold highlighter on top and then swope, is that even a word? And then I did use it also on my cheekbones and my temples to like make it all kind of be a nice cohesive look. But if I wanted anything other than, you know, a light pink or a light yellow in my brow bone, I had to pull from another palette. That's its downfall. Or use the white base that I used as an eye primer. I had done that before as well, which I have done before. No harm, no foul. I really like that it inspired me to put on a red lip. Every single time I wear red lips, I think, why don't I wear red lips more often? I don't think it actually looks as horrible as I think it actually looks. If that makes any sense. All right. So with that being said, thank you so much, BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil palette. We are going to pull a new one. I am keeping this one in my collection. I did have a lot of fun with it. I hope that you guys saw that in the pictures that I posted. 2 of them, this eye look, and I think it was like a blue and purple eye look. Super fun. I loved doing that. It did take a little bit longer because, like I said, some of these shadows have to be finessed just so they get a little bit patchy, and I think you could probably see that in the blue purple look that I did. They get a bit patchy, they're a little harder to blend, but they're much easier than, say, the James Charles Morphe palette. I had a much easier time blending these guys than I did that palette, but these guys are much patchier. So like rainbow palette to rainbow palette, that's how I feel about it. I did enjoy the palette. It will stay in my collection at least for a minute. This is my decision wheel app. I put all my palettes in. As I use them through the palette roulette, I do take them out of the wheel. As I get them in, I do put them into the wheel. I haven't added my 2 brand new Huda palettes into here that I got in the Ipsy shopper last month, but this is the palette roulette wheel, and to spin it, you just hit that button there. And we have the Tarte Artist Pro palette. This is quite an anticlimactic palette compared to this one. How funny is that? I think we went from super vibrant to dull to super vibrant to now dull. Again, let me go grab that palette. I will be right back. I had to look back at the app because I had to make sure it said Tarteist Pro and not Tarteist Pro Remix. It definitely said Tarteist Pro. This is the palette. This palette has been in my life for a very, very long time. It was one of the first expensive palettes that I ever purchased. It's a good little travel palette because it does have an amazing clasp and an amazing mirror. This is the mirror on it. They're so, so nice. This is the palette. It's quite boring compared to what we've had before. Kind of smells like chocolate still, which is kind of nice. Was it supposed to smell like chocolate before? I can't remember if it did or didn't. I actually used to really, really love this palette, so I'm anxious to see how it goes. It is an older palette, but like as you guys can see, I haven't even worn the imprint off a lot of these shadows, so, oh man. Like 3 or 4 of them have the imprint gone, but the rest of them do not. So this is the palette that we will be using next week. I might filter in some of my single shadows just so we have a little more of a poppiness of color. And I mean, it'll be good. I have a lot of super early appointments next week, so it'll be good to have a more neutral palette to turn to, so I'm not trying to be super creative with my looks. It'll be interesting. So that is the palette that we have to use next week. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you enjoyed it so much that you're considering giving it a big thumbs up. It really does help our channels out here. I also hope that you liked it or me enough that you're considering subscribing to my channel before you go. If you do that, please do not forget to hit that notification bell. It will notify you every single time I upload a video. I do upload content 3 to 4 times a week, and it's on an every other week cycle. So please hit that bell so that you're notified every single time I upload. I would hate for you to miss something. I don't want you to miss anything. I do want to hear from you down in the comments section. Please be safe out there. Everything's starting to open up. That doesn't mean everything is gone. So please just remember social distancing, masks, best practices for sanitation, and I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.